Welcome to the Conservative Viewpoint, where the truth always matters. I'm your host Charlie, the country conservative, and co-host Brendan, from the Brendan Statler Show. We are your source for conservative news. Now on with the show.
Welcome to the Conservative Viewpoint. I'm your host Charlie, the country conservative.
And I'm Brendan Statler from the Brendan Statler Show.
It's an honor to have you guys here tonight. Whether you're a seasoned conservative or just dipping your toes in the world of right-leaning perspectives, this podcast is your trusted source for conservative news, analysis, and thought-provoking discussion. Tonight we'll dive into the hot-button issue that matter most to conservatives across the nation, from limited government and individual liberties to traditional values and free market economics. We've got it all covered. So grab your favorite mug of liberty-infused coffee, settle in, and let's explore the conservative landscape together. Remember, my friends, freedom isn't just a word, it's a way of life. And here at the Conservative Viewpoint, we're committed to defending those principles. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button or follow button, or whatever it is, wherever you're tuning in from, because the truth doesn't wait for anyone. Let's start this show off with a quote from Ronald Reagan. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. And with that, it's time to get the show on the road. Hi, everyone. It's Thursday, June 13th, 2024. Where's the time gone? November's sneaking up on us real quick. We still have a lot of work to do between now and then. And this episode is going to show you reasons why we got our work cut out for us, and why we have to do whatever we can to make sure this election gets turned around to save this country from the Democrat corruption and the ruination that they've caused. So what we got going on today, Brendan?
I got a story from the National Pulse, and it just cleared out. There we go. Let's open it back up. Okay, from the National Pulse. Trump leads Biden by 10 points with critical Arizona demographic. A new survey by the American Association of Retired Persons, AARP, that's what Charlie gets in the mail all the time.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Indicates President Donald Trump holds significant leads over 81-year-old incumbent Joe Biden among likely voters in Arizona, particularly those aged 50 and older. In a five-way race involving third-party candidates, 45% of likely voters supported Trump, while just 37% backed Biden. Among voters aged 50 and above, 49% favored Trump compared to 39% who supported Biden. In a direct head-to-head matchup, Trump maintains his advantage with 50% of likely adult voters backing him versus Biden's 44%. In the same head-to-head contest, voters over 50 again prefer Trump with 52% support to Biden's 43%. So this is very big news, because it seems that everything has kind of reversed over the last year and a half. You know, it was always the younger generation that was more liberal, and it was the older generation that was more conservative. Well, that seems to have flipped within the last year and a half. It seems like that it is the younger voters that are leaning more towards populist right movements like MAGA and supporting Trump. And it was the older generation that was going for the Democrats, or the more centered Republicans. We call them rhinos here. And Arizona, as you know, was a key state in the last election, although we all know it was Trump that won the election and it was stolen. Arizona is going to play a key factor in this election, and to see that Trump is winning over voters 50 and older, I think that's big news.
Oh, most definitely. I'm still working on a couple of things here. What's going on, everybody in Whipkin? And what's going on, man? John, Billy Bob, what's happening? Now, I got for you guys tonight, I'm going to start off with Alina Habba. She let the Democrats know that Donald Trump is ready for war with this brutal message. She said that we have seen some corruption that this country has frankly never seen before in our judicial system. It is very real. It is not posturing by any means. It's 100% a problem that this country is going to have to handle and get a grapple on in November. And she's right. Now, she also goes on to say that when asked if Trump would end his campaign if he was sent to jail, there's some idiots asking him that. I can't believe they actually ask her that. But she says again that I recommend you find the latest polls in this country from the people that live in this country, the people that need him in this country, because frankly, it's more important than anything anybody else thinks. Our people are speaking loudly. They are donating. They are small donors, and they are standing up because they are afraid because we cannot have this happen to us. And she says, I like the way she speaks because she talks straight. She gets to the point. She's not afraid to argue with the fake news media. And that's what I like about her because she'll put it right up to their face and not back down. She's a tough little lady right there. Hi, Tammy. You're right, John. We live in big banana republic. That's for sure.
Yep. Absolutely.
So we're going to move on to a little bit about Cole Angelo. If you guys remember him, he's the little biatch that left the DOJ, quit his job 3 days after Trump announced he was running for president again. So why would a man that was third in line of the DOJ, why would you quit to go slum for Fat Braggs in New York unless he was up to something shady? He talked about this yesterday, that Merrick Garland said, no, there was no communications with them in New York. We know that's all bullshit. So
we absolutely do.
Let me show you, before you get going on this, Brendan, I'm going to show this video real quick of them talking about Cole Angelo, and this is one of those short videos. So take a look at this.
Colangelo was a DOJ guy. He's a Biden DOJ guy. Why is he in the Manhattan DA's office trying the case? That in itself is a conflict.
The Department of Justice is disputing claims that one of its former senior officials coordinated with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to bring felony charges against former President Donald Trump.
I'm saying it's false. I did not dispatch Mr. Colangelo anywhere.
Well, do you know how he ended up there?
I assume he applied for a job there and got the job.
But see, you know what?
I tell you, I had nothing to do with it.
Well,
a DOJ spokesman said in a letter obtained by the Washington Examiner that it had no records of communication between Alvin Bragg's office and Matthew Colangelo, who held a senior position at the DOJ until he joined Bragg's team in December 2022.
Now, they are so full of shit, it's unreal. And John, you're right. Who the fuck takes a pay cut? Nobody does.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. He was probably still being paid by the DOJ.
He absolutely was being paid by the DOJ. I mean, who leaves a prestigious job like that,
right,
at the DOJ to go work for Alvin Fat Ass Bragg,
right,
at the to prosecute this case? I mean, of course, Merrick Garland sent him down there. I mean, that's a hell of a pay cut, I would imagine, being that high up in the DOJ to come work for Alvin Bragg in Manhattan. I mean, that's a severe pay cut. So we all know that
3 days after Trump announced his plan. They had this plan. They had a plan.
Exactly. And remember, they didn't want to bring this case before until Donald Trump announced he was running for president. Remember how many times this case got shot down? They said they weren't going to bring it. But as soon as Trump announced he was running again, they decided to bring the case. It's just another example in the long list of shady corruption within this case. I mean, it doesn't make sense for somebody to, move that far down, take that much of a cut to prosecute Trump. Of course, it's politically motivated. Of course, it came from the DOJ. Anyone with half a brain knows that.
Look what John wrote.
I'm a bank president. I think I'm going to go be a garbage man.
That's exactly right. The bank president quit his job and goes to be a garbage man. Does that make a bit of sense?
I mean that's basically the same thing that happened here.
It is.
I mean, you know that this guy was being compensated very well for doing this, because these people are all about money. Like most people in the world, it's all about money. So who was paying this guy to compensate him for leaving the DOJ to go work for Alvin Bragg?
Exactly.
It had to have been the DOJ, which, we fund, by the way. So it was our taxpayer dollars that were paying this guy more money to go prosecute President Trump on a bunch of bullshit charges that have really never even been named even now. It's just, this Supreme Court has to get involved in this case. Just this alone is a conflict. Now we supposedly have the cousin of one of the jurors making these posts on Facebook, basically leaking the verdict. I mean, come on. What more evidence do you need, Supreme Court, to step in? I understand they usually want people to go through the process. They want Trump to go to the appellate court in New York.
They don't want to show that they don't want to show bias.
Right. And the appellate court's going to shut it down right away. They're not going to overturn it for Trump. We all know that. But Supreme Court has to get involved in this, and they have to strike this down. This cannot stand.
It has to run this process, though. You got to follow the steps. It's like red tape.
Yeah, but at the same time, the way the media demonize them, why not get involved? Are they going to say anything different about you than what they are now?
Right.
I mean, I think they should just get involved in it right now. I really do.
Well, John was right about ready to take America back. We're going to have to do something if November doesn't work. And taxpayers
November is going to work. We're not going to talk like that. November is going to work if we all.
And he also said they have a never-ending piggy bank. That's what all these people think they have.
They do. But
all of them do. All these DAs from all these states think they can just write a check of the taxpayers' money and do what they want with it, without any consequences, and that's the shit's got to stop. I'm gonna
use one of my favorite quotes I've learned over the last few years. This is from Steve Bannon.
What's that?
Elections have consequences. Stolen elections have catastrophic consequences, and we have seen nothing but catastrophic consequences, not just in this nation, around the world, since this guy was installed into the White House. But this just goes to show how desperate these people are to keep him out. I mean, this case is truly pathetic. It would be laughed out of a courtroom if it was anybody else but President Trump. It probably wouldn't even see a courtroom, if we're being honest, if it was anybody but President Trump. But we're going to win in November. Everybody just has to do their job.
Yep.
The only way we lose is if we quit.
And what's John say? They cheated once. What makes you think they won't do it again? We know they're going to try to do it again.
They're going to do it again, and I've mentioned this a few times before, actually. They're absolutely going to try to cheat. Anybody that thinks they're not going to is a fool. I'm not saying they're not going to cheat. I don't think their cheat is going to be successful because, and I'll run through this real quick for John and others that may not have heard me say this before. They needed help with the steal in 2020. They needed to either convince enough people to vote for Joe Biden and get them to buy into the media narrative that Trump was this horrible person. So they were able to do that, or get enough people to sit out, whatever the circumstance may have been. They were able to do that in 2020. Trump still won, I believe, by overwhelming numbers, but they were still able to do the cheat. They're not going to be able to do it this time because Trump's support has grown so much since he left office. There are people that could not stand Donald Trump that are now supporting him. You're seeing this, all over the nation. I mean, just look at the amount of people that are showing out for him in California.
Oh, no kidding.
Last
That's
week.
crazy.
I mean, who would have ever thought that was possible?
Mm-hmm.
So the movement has grown so much. His support has grown so much, especially because of these sham indictments and this conviction. And you just have to ask yourself one question. If the deep state was so confident they could steal this election like they did in 2020, would they be going after Trump the way they are now? Of course they would not, because it just shows how desperate they are to keep him out. They're not confident that they're going to win, that they're going to steal this. I mean, they're not confident they're going to steal it. That's why I say we need to go out and vote. We need to be out in full force on election day. And we will win. We will win.
John, you're right. John says you don't have to run through for me. Hillary thought she was going to steal the election in 2016. She didn't cheat enough.
And that's right. A great example. That's a great example because
she has proved that she's been working on it since then, though, and she's part of this establishment that's going to try to help cheat this time.
Well, I don't believe that 2016 was completely free and fair either. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is they tried to steal it for Hillary Clinton, but remember, everybody
didn't work.
Everybody thought that Hillary Clinton had this locked down. Honestly, even I did too. I didn't think Donald Trump had a chance. I was still 17 at the time, so I couldn't vote.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't think Trump had a chance in 2016. I wanted him to win, but I did not think that he would be able to. I was shocked when I turned on the TV the next morning because that's when we just had election day, not election week, of course.
Yep.
So they tried to cheat in 2016, but they didn't. They weren't successful. They didn't give her enough votes like they need to because they did not count on Trump having the support he did. Well, they made sure they had enough this time. That's why they gave Biden 81 million votes. They had to give him 81 million votes because Trump's support was so huge even in 2020. It's grown even larger since then. They're not going to be able to steal this if we do our job. That I can promise you guys.
Well, we got our Wimpkin Warriors out here today. The whole gang is here today. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. Now, here's one I got for you, and I'm just going to run through this one real quick. You guys probably never heard about this. Maybe you have, but this is no respect for the rule of law. Biden's called March in Rights are another illegal government steal. Now, if you haven't heard about this yet, the March of Rights is where the government, the act is for the government not to be able to steal people's patents on things they invent. Well, now he wants to do away with this thing so the government can start stealing patents again. And the Republicans are trying to stop it. But now this just goes to show how the Democrats disobey the law and their lawlessness in the Democrat Party. Now they're wanting to steal other people's patents so they can get money, free money, for not doing anything. And this just goes to show that the Democrats are a pathetic excuse for a party. They'll do anything to stay in power and to keep the money rolling into their pockets. I can't even believe I was a Democrat for 36 years. Oh my God.
Yeah, and you voted for Obama. I
did.
Once.
I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm going to keep
That's why my hair fell out.
I still do that. I still do that to Dad because on his Facebook account, I don't know how I came across it when he was still a Democrat. He posted a thing. It said Obama, Biden, 2012. I said, you need to take that off there. You look pretty silly now.
Yeah.
I give everyone shit for it. I think it's hilarious, but yeah, I mean, are you surprised that they're doing this? I mean, this is already what they do. They already rape us of money every single day, and they do nothing.
Oh, no, this is just a new one. I've never heard of that Rights Act, and now they want to try to use it to steal people's patents again.
Exactly. Well, this is
kind of little bitches. I can't even stand them.
Yeah,
those guys are talking about 2016.
Yeah, well, this is kind of what we were talking about the last story, talking about Alvin Bragg and the DOJ paying Colangelo.
Oh, yeah, and making up fake charges and everything.
That's our money. And, we can even I think you're talking about this later, so I'm not going to give away anything. But it's like the sending the money to Ukraine, continuing to send money to Ukraine. That's our money. That's not their money.
Oh, yeah. No, that's for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's for
Okay.
tomorrow.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't really give away anything anyway,
No.
but we don't get a vote on that. They sign something and they send our money away. It's
Right.
bullshit.
Billy Bob's right. Capitalism is bullshit, and they're fucking clowns. Yes, exactly right. Now we're going to get into. We all know Joe Biden's mind is shot to hell, and another doctor is sounding an alarm on one scary situation involving Joe Biden. But we all know that Joe Biden in this White House right now, every day is a scary situation with him because his mind and his action, his failed policies. Now, I want you to take a look at this first video. It's about 42 seconds long on Biden's forgetting a word, and I'm not going to give you the word. And it's a word that we all know. And it also has Dr. Siegel talking about Biden and KJP's bullshit. I had to put this together. So you guys got to take a look at this. And I'm sorry, it's 1:42 seconds. So take a look at this.
There's some movement. There's been a response from there's been a response from the opposition, but yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas. Right after I was elected, I went to what they call a G7 meeting, all the NATO leaders. And I sat down and I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from France looked at me and said, you know, how long are you back for?
How is President Biden ever going to convince the 3/4 of voters who are worried about his physical and mental health that he is okay, even though in Las Vegas he told a story about recently talking to a French president who died in 1996?
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you, sir.
What is
We're
the
going to
rabbit hole?
Go ahead.
He said he talked to Mitterrand.
Go ahead. You saw the president in Vegas, in California. You've seen the president in South Carolina. You saw him in Michigan. I'll just leave it there.
You said it's not about age. It's about fitness. It's about mental acuity. And that's the medical issue here. Absolutely the medical issue here. Because he may retain some of his political skills. But you also said something to me that I also agree with. He's gotten meaner. He used to be a deal maker. He used to be someone that reached across the aisle. That executive function is eroding to me. And I've talked to top neurologists about this. He's losing his memory for sure. But in addition to that, he's losing some of the skills that we need for leadership. And the American people need to vote on that.
Now, this goes on every day. We see it every day with Biden's mind making for a dangerous situation. And then you have KJP's bullshit you just saw there. When confronted, she gets all pissy and just blows it off. She's helping to make this country unsafe with covering up everything about Joe Biden's mental incapacities. This has to stop. We cannot rely on the current Republican Party to do anything. And this is another reason why November election is so important. We're giving up, example after example of reasons why these people need to get out and vote in November. And I'm hoping they're listening to the facts, that they get out in herds and vote for Republicans. And I'm going to tell you guys that they are not the total answer, but they are the answer to get us back on track. We say this on almost every one of our streams. But they can get us to be where we need to be. So that's why we keep telling you to vote for Republicans. So don't get me wrong when we say, they're not the total answer, but they will get us back on track.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they are the only answer at the moment, the way things are right now. I mean, I don't know how somebody could watch that because, it's not like it's just us conservatives that see him do this. It's the liberal shitheads, too, that see this. I mean, how can you watch that and still continue to support this guy? I mean, this guy couldn't even remember the name Hamas. He says the opposition.
No shit.
I mean, and all the other stuff he says. He said something the other day. We should have put that in there. I cannot for the life of me try to translate what he said. He made up a new word. I couldn't even try to imitate it for you guys. It was just so. It may have been the worst gaffe from Joe Biden I've heard yet, and that is saying something. But we have to get this guy out. He's
Did you
going to get
mention something?
worse and worse.
Did you
About
mention
what?
something about $50 billion going to Italy?
I did not. I saw John did while the video was on.
Yeah, because I know, and what Brendan wasn't going to give away about what we're going to talk about tomorrow. It was about $50 billion, but it wasn't to Italy. It's about us giving Ukraine more money. So, but that's the thing, an article we're going to go through over tomorrow. So I'm not going to tell you any more about that. But if you heard something else, let me know and of what you're talking about with the Italy deal.
I haven't heard anything about Italy, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Ukraine's definitely living better than we are now. I mean,
yeah, no shit there.
Honestly, there is no reason. And Trump needs to get this done. I don't care how he gets it done. He has to get this done when he gets in office. Right. He has to make sure that every cent of that money that we have sent to Ukraine is paid back with interest. And if they don't, seriously, I say that we now own Ukraine. Ukraine is now a territory of the United States. We'll push Zelensky out.
No shit there. We just bought it with all the money we've sent them.
Yeah, that's my point. We own it now. Zelensky, you're out. We control this now. That's what needs to happen.
Yep. Well, you guys are all right about her. She cannot answer a question if she has to. She was bad as, what does they circle back?
Jen
Psaki. At least Jen Psaki says she circled back and just never did. KJP, she's the worthless piece of shit DEI hire. If she wasn't a black gay woman, she would not have this job. I don't even know if she would have a copier position making copies.
I don't think. I don't think she would. I don't think she would be able to work at McDonald's. I mean, she is a new level of stupid. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, Jen Psaki was bad, but not this bad.
Yeah, Jake, is that KJP's brain melting away? That's funny as hell. She's a box-checking clown. You're right, Tammy.
Dennis says he thinks Hamas is green stuff that grows on rocks.
Yeah. Oh my God. Time to remove the swamp. Definitely, John. And Trump knows how to do it now. He got his learning curve out of the way with his first 4 years. Now we got to get back into the second 4 years so he can take care of the rest. She sidesteps almost every question whenever it pertains to Biden's mental state. Most definitely, Pat. But she's been covering up for him and all this mental state from day one. This son of a bitch has never been right. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
No, and you can tell how irritated she was by that question that Peter Doocy asked when it's a legitimate question. I mean, I swear to God, if Trump did this same stuff,
are you serious, Pat?
I would say the same exact thing because I mean this is take the politics out of it. This is dangerous for our country having somebody that is in this mental state to have to have the nuclear codes and all this stuff. I mean, in the nuclear button and all this stuff. I mean, that is just having him speak for our country alone is dangerous when his mind is clearly not there. I mean, I mean, that's I don't care who it is. If it was Donald Trump, doing this same thing, I would say it's time for Trump to go. I don't know why it is that liberals can't come to that same determination too. I mean, take the politics out of it. This is dangerous.
Exactly right. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Hunter Biden. A little bit more, guys. I know he's a pain in the ass, but yeah, KJP isn't gay. She's a lesbian. Okay. But anyways, there's things that we have to be careful about when it comes to Hunter Biden's verdict, because what happens next is really important because it could have, and I think Brendan mentioned this too a couple episodes ago, or maybe both episodes ago, a determination on what happens with Trump. Now, if I know you mentioned this part about if he can get acquitted, that'd be awesome for Trump because it shows the corruption in the DOJ.
Yeah, it's not going to happen before the election now, though. That's the thing. So
right.
Yeah. So him being acquitted no longer benefits Trump at this point.
Right. So we got. I know. Let's see if I have the right one here. That's not Dershowitz. But Dershowitz did say to Newsmax again that that Hunter Biden's verdict was real and Trump's was made up. And remember, Dershowitz says the conviction was earlier in the day does not prove that the justice system is blind in this country. It's only the appearance of it. It's a false equivalence to compare Biden's conviction on 3 felony firearm charges on Tuesday to the conviction of Trump 2 weeks ago. After all, Biden's conviction was a real crime, whereas Trump's was a made-up charge. Now, it proves that in the order to justify a erroneous conviction in New York, the Justice Department had to appoint a special prosecutor to make it appear there is fair justice. Appear was a big word. But there's an enormous difference. Trump's convicted was a made-up charges. There's nothing to this case. I still can't figure out what the actual conviction is based on. And this is Dershowitz. Now, on the other hand, Hunter Biden's conviction was a real crime. Now, just remember one thing, guys. Alan Dershowitz is no fan of Donald Trump. He has repeatedly said this for years. And trust me, he's not just turned around to be a Trump fan at all. When he says stuff like that, though, we need to listen to him because he makes a lot of sense. Because now we all know that Hunter Biden still has legal troubles ahead as U.S. House Republican calls for more accountability. Now, last week there was three chairmen leading the probe from the Oversight, Ways and Means Committee and Judiciary Committees. They filed criminal referrals with the Department of Justice for Hunter and Uncle James Biden, the president's brother, for allegedly making false statements to their committees during an impeachment inquiry. Now, if this goes anywhere, I'll be surprised as hell. But who knows how it goes with these Republicans right now. So they say they're going to do something, and we never see anything happen. So you never know with what's going to happen with these guys. But 459 crimes, a Hunter Biden laptop is, yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest difference between the Trump and Hunter Biden case is not only the fact that Trump's crimes were made up, the case was made up, and Hunter's was real charges.
Yeah.
The difference is with Trump's, we're still trying to figure out what exactly he was convicted on. We still don't know. We know what Hunter Biden was convicted on. His charges were pretty clear.
Right.
That's the biggest difference. They set up Trump's trial looking for a crime. Hunter Biden, there was already a crime. We know what he was convicted of. Trump, we still don't know what he was convicted of. That's the biggest difference.
Right. And that's a bitch. Hey, John, why can't you post pictures? You should be able to. Unless you're on your phone or something.
Do you want me to go into that News Nation story real quick since we're on the topic of
Hunter? Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, this is from News Nation, so not a conservative outlet, so just be aware. Biden says he won't commute Hunter's sentence after conviction. Now, I'm not going to read the article because, like I said, it's a lousy outlet anyway. So remember, I was talking before that I think that that Joe Biden was not going to commute his sentence, that they were going to go through the appeals process because it's already a rigged system, and it was going to stretch out after the election. Then after the election, he'll be acquitted of all charges because they would already have accomplished their goal. They just need the narrative and the appearance, as Charlie said earlier, of a fair justice system. So I think that I'm still holding on to my prediction that they're going to appeal it. It's going to go after the election, and after the election, he'll be acquitted. That's my theory.
There's no way. I'm telling you what. I'm a father, and if I had the power to get my son out of trouble, I would do it.
Yeah.
So I'll be damned if he's not doing this, not knowing he's already got the fix in for Hunter not to do any jail time. So
that's exactly what it is.
And if you guys are dads out there, right.
He knows the outcome.
Right. So if you guys are parents out there, tell me you wouldn't do the same thing. If you had the power to stop your kid from going to prison, would you or would you not do it? Let me know in chat.
And when you think about it, he says he wouldn't commute his sentence. When has this guy ever done anything ethical in his life before? Do we really believe that he would do anything ethical at this point and not commute Hunter's sentence unless, like we said, he already knew the outcome. He already knew it was a rigged system. I'm telling you, that is the only reason that Hunter Biden was convicted, so they could have the appearance of a fair justice system, so they could justify throwing President Trump in jail. Because I believe they're going to throw President Trump in jail. I don't know if the Supreme Court's going to take this up in time. He very well may be in a jail cell.
Rowdy says that Trump said he would pardon Biden.
I didn't
Is that
hear
true?
that. I have some serious doubts about that, if I'm being honest.
I did see something about that the other day, but I couldn't believe that was actually happening.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to look into that a little more. I have a very hard time believing that. I mean, why would you? Why? I mean, he was definitely guilty. I think you should prosecute him for all the other crimes, but unfortunately, statute of limitations have ran out on a few. But I mean, they should go after him for the child pornography on his laptop and all this other stuff. He's guilty of the influence peddling, of course. Too.
Dennis is saying that Trump did say that. Yeah, I did not see that. I knew they were talking about it, but I thought it was like a joke, so I didn't read into it. And Dennis saying he did actually say that. So
yeah,
I'm thanks, Tammy. I did not know that about the Wimpkin app. Yeah,
sure.
I didn't know you couldn't. I didn't know you couldn't post pictures on the Wimpkin app. If you're on the app, and if you're on the web version, you can. Well, that's nice to go. Get on the web version, everybody, because I like to see those pictures come up here. That's great. Dennis posted some stuff before, and some other guys have posted stuff before too. So I like seeing those up there.
Rowdy says that Trump said on gun charge, so he would pardon him on the gun charge. I
but
still
not
don't
on the
understand.
IRS one.
Yeah, I still don't understand why he would do that, because it is a crime either way you look at it. You lie on a gun form, it is a crime. I would not pardon him if it was me.
But there's a lot of them saying, though, with his first offense on that gun charge, that being a first offense, that he could get probation for it as a normal sentence. But a gun charge for anybody illegally possessing a gun, and the guys that I know, the inmates in prison, it was a minimum of 10 years for them. So maybe it's different for, well, it's always different for a Democrat and a Biden.
If Trump really said that, he really needs to reconsider that. That does not.
But Pat,
I would not try to be the bigger person in this. I mean, the way they have gone after him, and it's not like you're making up a crime like they're doing against him. I mean, that is a legitimate crime, and you would think that all these tree hugging liberals would be all for sending Hunter Biden to prison. They want to restrict everyone's gun rights. They want to go after anybody when it comes to anything with guns, but when it's a Biden, they look the other direction. But this is something that everybody should agree on as a crime. You should not be lying on a gun form. I mean, if you have good intentions, if you don't have malicious intentions, you're not going to lie on a gun form. You don't accidentally lie on a gun form. I mean, they're all standard questions for anybody that's ever filled out one. It's your basic information.
Right.
I mean, and have you been convicted of a felony? Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. Are you addicted to drugs? It's stuff like that. It's pretty standard questions.
Well, I got a global entry. If you guys travel out of the country, you guys will understand this. But a global entry thing has to do with traveling across the state lines or the country, borders. And I had to renew mine last year, and I missed a question on my global entry recertification thing. I missed a question. It took them a year for me to get my global entry back because I missed a question on, were you ever convicted on something? I think it was. And it took them a year, even me emailing just for that. And I didn't even lie on it. I just missed a question. And
Oh, you left it blank or something?
Yeah, I forgot. I just skipped over it and by mistake, and it was like it took him a year to get it straightened out to give me my global entry stuff back, and it's
I
like,
believe it.
and this son of a bitch lies, and he should have been in jail. But Pat, you're right. The statute of limitation did run out because they drugged their feet because it was on a higher amount of money. It was like $14 million. And then I still got people arguing with me and on Twitter today about this bullshit, about the crimes that Joe Biden has committed when he was vice president up until now. And I give them the facts and they still tell me, are you kidding me? I told them about the documents and they think that Joe Biden is cleared of this document case. And I said, no, he's not cleared. This case is not over. The Democrats think it's over, but it's not over because he willfully retained and gave out classified information when he wasn't even allowed to have the stuff. He stole this stuff because he got a book deal. So he stole all this information and gave it to his publisher, his ghostwriter, and it was classified information. That's treason.
It absolutely is. And he not only had documents, classified documents from his days as vice president, he had them from his days as a senator. The guy hasn't
and it was illegal.
He hasn't been a senator since 2008. It's like, so he's had them at least, probably well beyond, he's had these documents at least since 2008.
Oh, yeah. Another one, too. But these guys were talking about the gun charge and stuff. And now they're taking Trump's guns from him.
Yeah, exactly. So
why aren't
we doing the same effort to go after Hunter Biden's guns? Hunter Biden's now a convicted
exactly.
Should, but I haven't seen that in the news. They're talking about taking away Trump's guns
and his permit and stuff, and that's bullshit.
His liquor license at his hotels. They're talking about all this, which I think's absolutely absurd anyway, because anybody that has paid attention to Trump, he said it over and over again that he's never had a drink in his life. And this is also why the Supreme Court needs to step in, because this man's rights are being stripped from him. And it's all over bullshit. I mean, they're going to take – I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing he's surrounded by Secret Service 24/7, but it's still, why should he have his gun rights taken away? Why should he have his liquor license revoked at his hotels? I mean, it's all over bullshit. They need to step in and do something about this.
Right. And Pat, you're right. They found it in him incompetent to stand trial because they said that no jury would convict him because how did they say it? He was
because
a
they
feeble
would see
old
him
man.
They would see him as a weak, elderly old man. Yeah,
with a poor memory.
Man with a poor memory. So
how the hell could he be running a country if he can't even stand trial?
Exactly, and this is why we need the audio recordings from the Hurd deposition that the Democrats continue to fight the Republicans on. I mean, you guys saw the videos we played at the beginning where he couldn't even remember the name Hamas, and we see him struggling to sit down in a chair where he's shitting his pants.
Yeah.
He's making up words that he's speaking in Bidenese. We see this every day, and that's what happened during the deposition. And, a lot of the transcripts they released are almost completely redacted. Like almost 70% is redacted. You can't even read it. Where they're talking to her, and it's something like this. So what did Joe Biden say about this when you asked him this question? Redacted, redacted, redacted. So we can't read what her had to say about this for the most part, about the deposition. We can't have the audio tapes. I mean, we need to have the audio tapes. There's no reason we should not have the audio tapes. If there's nothing to hide, show us the tapes.
Yep.
Because everything we see from this guy every day shows that he is weak and demented and should be nowhere near the Oval Office.
Right. Billy Bob said he's not running anything but the shit in his pants. Got that right. But the point is that he has been found, like Pat said too, he is found mentally incompetent to stand trial. So how can you run a country? And so this is bullshit. And I don't know how the Republicans didn't run with this. It just dumbfounds me how they just let this go and don't do a damn thing about it. He pressures bosses to get rid of Hamas. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just goes to prove even more that this guy is not the one running the show. This is Obama's third term. Obama said that if he ever had the opportunity to sit in the background, sit in his sweatpants and call the shots for somebody else, he would do it. That's exactly what he is doing.
Right. And Pat was right again. They put a 70-something-year-old woman in jail for protesting, not rioting, at an abortion clinic, and elderly people still sitting in jail for J6. And you're right. You put people in jail for that kind of stuff, but you don't put this son of a bitch away for all the crimes that I can lift off a mile long. And the House, I just got an email about that from Comer that said they have 65 pages of evidence against Joe Biden. And that's not something I wanted to get into because I wanted to save that for tomorrow too. But I want the 65 pages. I want a list of every bit of that evidence that he's talking about, but you can't find it. You can find partials of this, that, and the other thing, the checks and all that bullshit. And it breaks it down into the Chinese, what dude here, and the CFC and all that crap. I want the pages. I want the pages of evidence so I can see it. I can print them out on my printer right now. So we can start reading them together. And I'll put them up here so you guys can read them too. So we can see them. That's what we need to get out to the people. If they've got so much proof, why the fuck they ain't doing something? It just don't make sense to me.
Because once again, the Republicans are controlled opposition. The majority of them don't want to do anything because they don't want Donald Trump back in the White House. Even many Republicans don't because they want to continue politics as usual. That's why you don't see much action from the Republicans. But that's exactly why we need these audio tapes, like I said before, is because it's going to prove just how demented this guy is. I mean, there's no reason to not release the audio tapes. And like we said before, the Hur deposition classified him as a weak old man that with a poor memory. This guy should not be anywhere near the Oval Office. Just that statement alone. Weak elderly man with poor memory. I mean, people should really start looking at this guy. They really should. They should. There's no way this guy should remain in office, but they can't get rid of him because they don't want Kamala Harris in there either. The deep state. She's more unpopular than he is, if that's possible. So they're kind of stuck at the moment.
Where am I getting the feedback from you?
I have no idea. I'm not hearing anything on my end. Do you have this open in another window?
Yeah, I have nothing open. I'm hearing you twice.
Well, I'm so I do such a great job. You got to hear me twice.
I'm getting every time you say something, I'm hearing it again. Oh, somehow my mic kicked on Wimpkin. But everybody's sitting there talking about that. We got to talk. Look at that.
That's why you were getting feedback from me because you got to open in Wimpkin.
Well, no, I had to shut off, but it opened by itself for some reason. But Billy Bob, you're right. If they're saying it's 65 pages, it's probably more, but they won't give us that information, and that's what I want. I want to see these list of evidence because there's been people put in jail for less than 65 pages worth of evidence. So why don't they put it out to the people so the people in America can see it? Because this is what needs to be done. And if you got 65 pages of evidence, put it to a court. The hell with the DOJ. Bypass them and do it yourselves. There's got to be a way to do it. You shouldn't have to depend on the DOJ right now because nothing's going to get done.
No, the DOJ is corrupt. They wouldn't do it anyway. But Dennis, we're already in a civil war.
No doubt.
Yeah, we're just in a war of information right now. That's the difference. We've been in a war for quite some time now.
10,000 pictures on.
But
Yeah.
you know, this is something I want to emphasize real quick to everybody that may be watching this. They're trying to provoke you into violence so they could start the whole January 6th narrative again and make the whole MAGA movement look bad. No matter how much the stuff pisses you off, you got to remain peaceful. Don't be going over the line on social media. We can't afford any of that right now. We need to keep our heads, remain peaceful, because as I've said before, we are winning right now. You see how desperate these people are. They're losing their grip on power. You see evidence of it every day. We just need to stay on the path we're on, and we will be victorious in the end.
Yeah, Rowley. Yeah, General Milley, that piece of shit. That son of a bitch should be tried for treason. He's a worthless piece of shit. He's a coward trying to turn the Marines into a woke bunch of bitches. And oh my God, he is a pathetic pansy. You're definitely right, Rowdy. Calls China and warns him of saying about Trump and all that bullshit. Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Most definitely. I got a couple more things to get through because if I could fast forward through this, but Dick Durbin, this is a kick in teeth to all the young Americans, and this comes from Dick Durbin's mouth. So listen to what this dick had to say. Illegal aliens are the future of our country. Now you heard me right. It's not the American kids, it's the illegals that Dick Durbin, because he's been working on the DACA program act for years, and he's still trying to get this shit pushed through, but he favors illegals. But that's not the only reason he's favoring illegals, because this is all about elections. So they're using this to push this through because it's all about getting all these illegals through here so they can get more demographics. What the hell you call that? In each state, to get more.
Delegates and electoral.
Yeah, more delegates
votes.
and stuff in. I had a brain fart there for a second.
Yeah, you get more delegates and you get more electoral votes because it goes off the census
population, right? So that's what this is about.
Citizens, yes.
Right? And Democrats don't care about anybody. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't give a shit about anyone. It's about votes, so they can stay in power. Exactly, stay in power and keep stealing our taxpayer money. So I don't want to hear this bullshit from the dick and saying that illegals are our future. No, our kids, our grandkids are the future of this country. They're the ones that deserve to get the stuff that these illegals are getting. But wow, what the hell? We don't give our own people stuff like this. We only give these illegal pieces of shit this stuff. So this is what Democrats do. And if you guys can't see this, you're freaking idiots. But I wanted to get to this border stuff. I didn't want to put too much down on this stuff because we got a lot of going on the border again. Right, new voters. Now we're going to get to the border, which is my favorite subject because it's so screwed up with this bloodbath crisis that Biden has caused. And what I'm going to start off with is these 8 migrants tied to ICE, as they had ISIS ties. They were arrested all across our country. There was like 2 of them from Pennsylvania. I can't remember but they were all over the place that they just picked up. Now, this article that got me started at first, I'm going to show you a video because I have 3 videos on this. And I had to break them down so we could get to talk about them too. So the first video is about these 8 migrants with ISIS ties in our country. And because they're talking about the terror threat that's in our country. So take a look at this.
To the other news tonight, and we have learned that 8 migrants who entered the U.S. illegally across the Mexico border have now been detained tonight, suspected of having ties to ISIS. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, 8 migrants from Central Asia who entered the United States illegally through the southern border are in federal custody over suspected ties to the terror group ISIS. The individuals from the former Soviet Republic of Tajikistan came to the U.S. since the end of last year. They were vetted at the time. Law enforcement sources told ABC News authorities then uncovered information raising suspicions about possible affiliations with ISIS. At least some of the individuals were monitored, and eventually all were detained in New York, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia. The FBI has specifically warned Islamist radicals might try to access the United States from the Mexican border.
There is a particular network where some of the overseas facilitators of the smuggling network have ISIS ties. that we're very concerned about.
Earlier this year, Russia arrested migrants from Tajikistan in connection with an attack on a concert hall outside Moscow that killed scores of people. While there's not enough information to charge these 8 Tajik migrants, David, we're told they're now likely to be deported. David?
Aaron Katursky with us tonight. Aaron, thank you.
Now, they've known this has been going on, but they keep talking about the ones that they've caught. Never talk about the ones they have not caught. So on this next one, I go back 3 years only to choose. I only chose a few of these, and because I could spend hours just with getting you guys these videos on the terrorist watch list of people that have came across and the ones that have not been caught coming across our southern border. Now, this next one goes back 3 years, just of some of the people that were caught at our borders. Take a look at this one.
That terrorists may use the U.S.-Mexico border for potential attacks.
All the lights were blinking red before 9/11. Apparently, obviously, all of us missed it. Would you say that there's multiple blinking red lights out there?
I see blinking lights everywhere I turn.
2 men on the FBI's terrorism watch list were caught trying to enter California. The arrests happened on different days, but authorities say both men were on their radar and both were on the no-fly list.
The Department of Homeland Security has announced the arrest of 2 Yemeni nationals, both failing on their separate attempts to sneak into the United States.
A wanted Afghan terrorist was arrested trying to cross near Otay Mesa. The person crossed the border illegally with a group of migrants. Desmond says agents screened the person and saw him listed on the FBI's terror watch list.
Border Patrol officials say that between October 2022 to September 30th of this year, 151 migrants with positive terrorism watch list matches were arrested after crossing into the U.S. illegally along the southern border.
Now, you guys are right, and MAGA's right on this one. If this goes where I think it's going, violence will eventually find us. And that's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen, because this is a plan by Biden to ruin this country, and they're succeeding in it. Because this next video I'm going to show you was one that I wanted to show you a few days ago that we never got into, about Mayorkas lying about the southern border. And I'm going to let you watch this real quick.
Biden administration officials say new asylum restrictions have not yet curbed crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border. Encounters at the southern border continue to average about 4,000 people a day. New asylum restrictions went into effect last week. The new rules also allow border agents to deport migrants faster. Senior administration officials say they expect the number of crossings to drop.
It's early. The signs are positive. Our personnel have done an extraordinary job in implementing a very big shift in how we operate on the southern border.
The Biden administration says they conducted 17 deportation flights in the days following the policy change.
Now, so you want to talk about Democrats playing fear-mongering games? Well, this time it's actually true, because they have found them all over the country, and the ones they have not found yet, because the known terrorist cells that are being set up around this country that they know of, but they can't find them. So when you tell people that there's something going to happen here real soon, and this is just like Mag was talking about, there's something going to happen real soon, you can guarantee something's going to happen. So I'm hoping you guys are prepared when something does break off.
Yeah, and this would have been the easiest thing to impeach Joe Biden on and really convict him on, remove him from office. This is, and I've read this on here before, this is Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. I'm just going to read the opening of it for you guys. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. This is an invasion we are seeing at our southern border. I mean, we're letting the entire world in. We have no idea who these people are. We've caught some that are on the terrorist watch list, but what about the ones that we haven't caught? They haven't been able to catch, because we've completely removed every border security, everything with border security that President Trump put in when he was in office. We're letting the whole world come in. This is an invasion. Joe Biden has a responsibility to protect us against invasion, and he has failed. He has created the invasion and further exacerbated it since he's created it. He should have been impeached on this alone. I really wish that the Republicans would have went harder at this than they did, because this would have been the easiest thing to get him on. Of course, you can get him on the influence peddling. That would be pretty easy, but this would be the easiest because it's right there. I just read it to you. It's in the Constitution. He failed. He should be kicked out of office.
Exactly. Now, Dennis brought up about the Chinese, military-age Chinese. Yeah, it was between 30 to 50,000 that are coming here. And this goes into what I'm going to show you guys now. And I did a big article, but I'm going to show you. But we were talking about that yesterday, Dennis, about Russia going in by Florida to Cuba. Now, I want to show you this real quick, and then we'll get in and talk to it. It's about the U.S. intercepting these. They also brought a nuclear sub in. So take a look at this real quick, then we'll talk about it.
Also today, 4 Russian Navy ships and a nuclear-powered submarine were seen sailing across the port of Havana, Cuba. Russia's defense ministry says it was all part of a military exercise at sea, but U.S. officials are taking it as a threat. It all comes amid rising tensions between Washington and Moscow over the war in Ukraine.
Now, this is what Dennis and I were talking about yesterday, but this also goes off of what Dennis just said of talking about the Chinese nationals. They are positioning themselves around us in our own country, now in Cuba, with the Chinese nationals. The Chinese have bought farmlands up all over this country. And where are all these little Chinamen, military-aged Chinamen, at? Now we got nuclear subs down in Cuba and their warship down in Cuba. They've got them off of Alaska's coast and everywhere. So these guys are positioning themselves for a reason. They're not just doing this because of war games. I'm sorry, it's not. There's something more going on here, and we need an administration that will protect us, not Joe Biden letting them do what they want, let them get away with what they want. This is bullshit.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and that's why I say this is destroying the country from within. Joe Biden may be incompetent himself, but like we said, he's not the one running the show. This is not incompetence, what we're seeing here. This is 100% intentional. This has all been orchestrated from the start. They are destroying this country from within. Why are they destroying this country from within? They are paying us back for voting for Donald Trump, electing Donald Trump, not once but twice, because we all know 2020 was stolen. They are trying to destroy this country.
Yep.
That is the only logical explanation. You do not take steps like this, opening a border completely, allowing terrorists to come over, if you were really trying to run this country. Your allegiance is truly to this country. And when you think about it, if it was just simply incompetence, Joe Biden would have at least gotten one thing right to this point, wouldn't he?
No.
No, seriously. If it was truly incompetence, he would have gotten something right at some point, I believe. He has not gotten one thing right. Like Jimmy Carter, I believe Jimmy Carter. Now, of course, I wasn't alive during Jimmy Carter's administration.
No.
But I believe that Jimmy Carter was just truly incompetent. That's just my opinion. What we're seeing with Joe Biden now is, what we're seeing with Joe Biden right now is on purpose. They are destroying the nation from within.
Well, MAGA is right. The illegals are cover up for Hamas, Hezbollah, the CCP, North Korea, Iran are bringing their military into our country. Russia has and was ships of hypersonic nuclear subs. We are the same place where we are in December 6, 1941, except 1941, our population wasn't following Satan. And then, you are absolutely right. Now, Pat is right, too, on the sleeper cells are waiting for the word from their home higher-ups, and then they will have total chaos. Everybody's making great points on this because it is true. That's exactly what's going to happen. And these people are blind to the fact that this stuff's happening. These liberals are freaking idiots when it comes to all this. And that's what pisses me off the most, because they don't see this and then they want to call us conspiracy theorists. And the problem is that all of our so-called conspiracy theories have come true. So that makes them, not conspiracy theories anymore. So these people can kiss my ass. And what's done by Bongino says, double barrel middle finger, because they're idiots, and I can't stand it. Talked to my friend who was a retired Green Beret. He's not optimistic at all about the Russian Navy vessel that close to American soil. Hypersonic missiles wouldn't be able to be stopped. There ain't no shit there, Dennis. That's what worries me about it, because their position. Why a nuclear sub? They're saying there's no nukes on it. I don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah, well, the Russians are working with the Chinese now because
Right.
we had to have seen this coming. The reason the Russians are doing this, like I said, assuming what the media is putting out is true, the reason the Russians would be doing this is because we continue to fund Ukraine. That was my biggest fear. I mentioned this last night when we started getting involved in this. I said, we're going to piss off the Russians. They're going to team up with China, our biggest foe, and they're going to work together. That is not what you want. You know, people criticize Trump for trying to get along with Vladimir Putin and even Xi Jinping, but that's what you need. You need to get along with these people, but at the same time, you have to let them know that the United States is not going to be messed with. We will fight you with everything we got if necessary, but if we can get along with these people, it's not a bad thing.
Well, the Democrats, all they want to do is blame Russia for everything, and that would piss me off. If I'm blamed for everything, don't you think I'm going to get pissed off about it?
I would too, and that's what I mentioned last night. I'm definitely not pro-Putin by any means. I don't think Putin's a good guy. I
don't either. I was going to mention that last night, but I forgot to mention it when you did.
But I said last night, if it was us in that position, if we were at war with the country and another country was funding them, basically funding this entire war, yeah, you would want to go after them too, wouldn't you? So that's why I said, you almost can't blame the Russians. I mean, I certainly hope they don't attack us, but this is the position that Joe Biden has put us in by getting involved in a war that we have no business being in. Ukraine is not an ally of ours. They have never been an ally of ours. And this is why NATO needs to go away, in my opinion. There is no need for NATO in today's world. The Soviet Union's been gone since the 80s.
That's why Trump was getting us out of NATO.
Right, and we should. NATO should go away completely. And we kept pushing NATO, keep adding countries closer and closer to Russia. I think that's why Russia invaded Ukraine, because they're understandably pissed off that NATO keeps expanding. And then you're trying to add a country that borders them. I mean, I can't say that I blame them entirely. I can't.
Now, Pat says, did you have something on the chat? Would you bring it up or no?
I had it up. My phone locked. Sorry.
All right. Well, Pat's right. They said that, do they really think the terrorists aren't going to target the administration as well? That's who they're going to go for. And I'm hoping none of you guys are in a big city, because that's also where they're going to strike. Wherever the biggest population is, what they can get the most damage done in a short time. That's what they're going to attack first. Just like 9/11 and the Twin Towers. They did the most damage they could do in a small amount of time. So Biden is following the NWO plan. Right. Biden's a little bitch boy. So
that's exactly what it is. It's New World Order. We mentioned that how many times on here before. That's what it is, the one global government.
MAGA brings up what you said. He's not incompetent. He has done more to destroy America than any enemy could ever imagine.
Yeah. If you were going to destroy the United States, what would you do differently than what Joe Biden has done? Really, you would follow this. You would follow this same playbook, wouldn't you? I mean,
exactly. Why not?
That's what I would do if that was my intention.
What kind of hypersonics could they use, William? If it would be a waste on a sub, why would it be a waste? Let us know that. Right, a nuclear sub is nothing more than a launch platform. That's what ours are too. But being that close to us, and depends on how long it takes them to arm their weapons too, depending on how far it takes. Who knows what kind of material that Russia's got? We don't keep track of their stuff, and we should.
I'm gonna have to run, guys. 4:00 comes early, so I'll see you guys. If you're staying on, Charlie, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm about done anyway. So thank you, guys. Well, we'll finish this up real quick.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for watching the show today. Please join us again tomorrow for another great episode of the Conservative Viewpoint. Thank you for joining us in chat and helping us make this show a great show. And it's all because of you guys. So thank you again.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to check out our Rumble pages. Mine's a Country Conservative. Brendan's is the Brendan Statler Show. Follow us, please. That's a big deal for us, guys. If you could do it, just go over to Rumble and follow us on both of our channels. And we got to get the word out. This is why I ask you guys to share our videos on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. You got to share our videos to get our word out to all these people. That's so much more. So with that, I will leave you with this. As we wrap up tonight's Conservative Viewpoint, remember that ideas are the heartbeat of democracy. So keep questioning, keep engaging, and keep the conversation alive. So until tomorrow night, guys, stay informed and stay passionate. Good night, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.